Hi. Today I want to do something a little bit different. I made a game, a mystery game for y'all, and there's not really a lot for me to show you. I just thought I'd introduce you to it, but if you go out to the website, you can actually find the links to download the starter file and stuff. So this is the Tableau at Work website, and I'm just going to refresh it. You can see here I have a case of the Flocking Flamingos, and if I open that up, oops, sorry. We'll go over here. The website has 4 tabs that you can look at, and if you move your mouse over them, it'll explain. The first one is the field guide, and this is where we'll explore the data. Then I have theories that you can look at, which are kind of like clues on what you might find in the data. And I have to tell you, Google Gemini made the clues, and some of them are really funny, so it's worth looking at. Especially, there's like a board, like a Facebook, where people post comments, and it's really funny. And then the Investigator's Handbook, methods of how you would go look at the different charts and find information. And then finally, the spoiler alert is in the case close that explains what is really shown by the data. And it's funny, if you actually Google the flamingos showing up in a yard, there are true stories of this happening, so it's kind of funny. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop over to the field guide exploring data, and you can see here it explains that there are 3 data sources. There's the Gator Goods, which is kind of like the local hardware store. The Flock feed would be the equivalent of a Facebook or a neighbor's page where people are posting comments about what's going on. And then there's a Flock plot that you can look at the data and maybe notice some commonality or something. I'm going to go to the Tableau Public real quick, and I'm going to download the starter file. The answer file is also out on Tableau Public. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this so you can see the data. And you can see over here on the left, in the top left area, I have the Gator Goods, the Flock feed, and the Flock plot locations. And if you were to open those data sources up, you can see that there's a customer name and address here, the product name and the transaction ID, and the date of the transaction. So this is your local hardware store. I'll just let you play around with it yourself. The Flock feed has the author would be the same as the customers in the sense that it could be the neighborhood. And then it has the address, so you can do a map chart. There is latitude and longitude in here, so you can play around and see if it has some commonality there. And then finally, the Flock plot locations, that also has the latitude and the longitude fields that Tableau creates for you, so you might want to do a map chart here also. I'm going to go back to the web page for just a minute. And if you open up these 3 data source tabs, it does explain ideas of what you might look for. So, have there been any purchases of a flamingo, a pink flamingo lately? And the Flock feed, you might want to check out the social media, find out where the people are, what are they posting about these pink flamingos. And then finally, the Flock plot. And this data source shows the flamingos appearing and disappearing in the neighborhood, and how sometimes they're on a particular lawn. So that's kind of fun. And then the theories would be if you wanted a little bit of help as you make your charts. So these would be clues. And what I've done here is I've included a bunch of charts at the bottom that you might want to mimic. These are actually from the book, but you can get a feeling. I did include like the columns and rows shelf, so you can see how would you build that type of a chart. Where would you put the fields? For instance, the packed bubbles chart here, you would see that there's nothing on the columns or the rows, but you did put the measure field on the orders, and this is a circle mark type chart. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a clue if you want some getting started. And then let's go back to the Investigator's Handbook, the methods. And these are just additional clues on what kind of charts you might want to build. Look at the timeline of when the sales are occurring. Is there some commonality between the sales on the Gator Goods and maybe the Flock feed? Are they the same time period? Or the Flock plot? So kind of pay attention to the time that the data has activities, that kind of thing. And then finally, if you want the case closed, spoiler alert. I'm not going to go there right now. I'll let you do it on your own. But that could be where you find out what was the data telling you. And the charts, the samples that I included, they're not super fancy or anything. You can, I'm sure, do way better. But it was fun to do this and just to set a pace where you can explore at your own pace and look at what you're interested in, maybe find some clues. It's really fun. It's an interesting way to look at data. Hope you enjoy it. Bye.